today is BPOs in telecom. Is there anybody here who is currently working for a telco? There are 3 working professionals. So anybody working for a telecom company today? No. Anyone who has worked in a telecom company? Good. Which one? AT&T. AT&T. Oh, all right. What about you?
Nokia Siemens.
Nokia Siemens. Okay. Yes? Reliance Communication. Okay. So you have worked in a service provider, so to say. You know, AT&T or Nokia Siemens, these are equipment manufacturers. Since you have worked in a service provider, by the way, anybody here who has worked in a BPO? Good. Which one?
I have worked with IBM Dutch, but I was
IBM Dutch. Okay. You were not sure about it. You wanted to add or delete something from what you said.
no, just IBM Dutch. I have taken as a whole. I am not into this telecom business.
Okay. What about you?
I work with
Wipro BPO. So you are an individual who has seen the service provider side of a telecom as also what a BPO does. Yeah. Now the topic that we have on hand today basically deals with what is it that BPOs do in a telecom a service provider's business. What do they contribute? How important they are. All right. That's what we would deal with today. I want to move to the next slide. Okay. Now, telecom as a sector outside the BSNL, MTNL, DOT framework, as we just discussed, about 16 years old in India. BPOs as a business is almost the same. BPOs as a business, as a domestic business operation, is about 13 years old in India in terms of an organized business. By the way, for the BPO as an industry, telecom is probably the biggest business for which they exist. BPOs in India typically exist for 2 verticals. One is the telecom vertical and the other is the finance vertical. The rest of them are small, such as healthcare and civic issues and railways and so on and so forth, and travel. The biggest vertical is telecom. For the sheer size of the telecom industry today has got almost 800 million users. Okay, this is in terms of mobility, plus you have got broadband users and so on and so forth. Now, BPOs and telecom over the years have become so well integrated that none of these 2 industries can really exist possibly without the help of the other. All right. And what we would now explore over the next maybe an hour, hour and a half is what is it that this relationship is all about, how do they coexist, what do they do for each other, and so on. Yeah, the next one. Okay. The history of BPOs and telecom in India dates back to, as I said, about 13 years, 12 to 13 years. Internationally, BPOs and telecom have been in existence for almost 23, 24 years. I mean, as it happens in most other industries, because the US or the Europe, the Western markets opened up first for telecom, the history there is maybe about 4 or 5 years older than ours. It dates back to about 1990, when there is a company called Cable and Wireless. Are you aware of this company? Cable and Wireless is a giant in US and in several parts of the world. Cable and Wireless had a business arm called Mercury, and they were the first business entity who came up with billing solutions for telecom companies. First, they came up with billing solutions for cable and wireless themselves. And when they found that this was working, they started marketing this service to other telcos in US. Then in 1992, if I remember correctly, British Telecom, which in those days used to be one of the blue chips internationally in the field of telecom, they experimented with coming up with billing solutions. Because mind you, you're all young. So when India opened up for telecom, I can't move out at all. That's fine. I will move. Okay. So when India launched mobile telephony in 1995-96, do you remember that there used to be huge billing issues?
Yeah.
You remember? Arcom. No, those issues are there with everyone, not only with Arcom. Whenever a telco launched an operation, and because people were used to getting bills from BSNL or MTNL till then, suddenly they started saying that the bills are exaggerated and the bills are inaccurate. Though, of course, not many customers have really, at least in the last 5 or 6 years, not many customers have really been able to prove that the bills are inflated. But because it's a new service and it is being offered by a private telecom operator, because the systems are also new, mobile telephony itself was new, so there was this great suspicion that something is being cooked up by these telecom companies and my bill is high. Net, all companies went through this turmoil, and not only in India, but also abroad. So even in the Western countries, both US and Europe, okay, I will not even mention Australia or Africa, etc., similar issues were confronted by companies. So British Telecom, after cable and wireless, came up with their own billing solutions, which worked beautifully. Then they marketed this to companies like Telefonica, to Telstra, AT&T, and so on. 1992 is when BPO on an international scale and across companies and verticals, both wireline as well as wireless telecom, actually started. So to that extent, the history of BPOs within telecom is close to 20 years old internationally. In fact, it's so much so that sometime in 94, 95 in US, a lot of the wireline companies got together, formed a cooperative amongst themselves, okay, which was only to deal with billing related business solutions and marketed to themselves. So it was like a common entity created by all the wireline companies in US, about 15 of them. This was the beginning of BPO or process outsourcing in telecom space. What do BPOs do in telecom? Now let me ask you, what comes to your mind, top of the mind? And probably I would discourage the couple of individuals there from answering this question because they have worked in BPOs and also in telecom. The question is open to everybody else.
Support, billing.
Okay, let me start writing down the things that you are talking about. Okay, so you are talking about customer care.
Yeah. Very request.
Query and request, will that not come in customer care or you want to mention it separately? Maybe request or query. Query will mention separately because he may not be a customer and he may still call up to make a query. Okay, so customer care, query. What else?
Support.
Support means what?
Backend support.
Backend support. Such as, give me an example.
Technical support.
Technical support. Give an example.
Billing solution.
Will it not come here in customer service, customer care? It will, yeah?
Kind of.
Getting new services,
New services, such as?
Provide
data services.
customer care.
So what is BPO doing there?
So provide information.
All that is customer care and query. This is for customers who are existing on the network. This is for those who are not on the network yet. It's a common lay person and is calling in to make queries. Yeah. So does that more or less cover all the gamut of activities that a BPO may be doing?
Network support.
Pardon?
Network support.
Outbound calls.
Outbound calls. Okay. Outbound calls. Good.
For sales.
For sales.
Selling.
Okay, good one. Okay, what else?
Operation and maintenance.
Operation and maintenance means what?
In the services for network support or
For a customer, it is still here. What else?
inbound call and outbound call. The customer care is inbound. You need to care of your
Yeah, so in outbound, what all happens?
outbound.
Sales is one. What else?
Promotions.
Promotion, but that's also sales.
Sales, yeah.
Anything else? Okay, we have belabored this enough. I think enough of exercise on a Sunday morning. So, can we go to the next slide? Okay, I'll click it. Okay. This is what is commonly known. The issues that we have covered so far are the commonly known issues. Yeah. There are also a lot of things that BPOs do in a telecom which is not commonly known, though we may be experiencing this ourselves on a regular basis. What all do BPOs do? Oh, this version doesn't support. Your Windows version is not supporting. This slide is not coming in full.
Open PPT separately and
Share screen.
Can you do that, because it's an important slide? Okay, think. Now the technology has disallowed you from taking a break. Okay? So now jog your mind. Yeah, think through.
Apart from this, they do order entry, order monitoring.
Order entry, order monitoring. Yes, I think that's a good input.
This is for delivery purpose, order entry, order monitoring. For assurance also they are doing something like diagnostics.
Okay, yes. Though that would also come here.
Yeah, that is actually first line support.
Yes.
Under customer care.
Yes, correct.
so it's version.
That is order entry, concern order.
Yes, gentlemen, think.
After sales service.
कस्टमर सर्विस, कस्टमर केयर में आ गया. Yeah, this slide. This one. This one, उसके नीचे वाला. Next. Yeah, correct. Okay. So what does the BPO do? We have tried to jog and come up with various things, but still not completely there. As I said, what we have come up with is what is commonly known. What is not commonly known is what this slide tells you. Typically, BPOs are, the work that they do is of two types. One is voice and the other is non-voice. Okay? In voice, you have inbound and we have outbound. This is what these things do. We have covered help desk, sales and inquiries. Okay? In outbound, typically, this is what the outbound team typically does, what is known as the life cycle management of customers for a telecom. And life cycle management is actually a misnomer. Life begins in the cradle. Okay, a baby is born and put into the cradle, correct? There is no life before the cradle. And they say life cycle management is cradle to grave. Cradle to grave is an expression used to describe life cycle management, because grave is when a person is dead and you bury him. But what telcos do is before the cradle and after the grave. How? Because when you are not a customer, as somebody said, they make calls to you, they may send out mailers to you, all right, to promote products, to explain to you the features, and to get you on board. This is the pre-cradle stage. And then you finally sign up as a customer and you become an existing customer, and that's where your story from cradle to grave starts. So what they do, help desk providing with all kind of support, making sure that you are charged correctly, bills are explained to you, whether it is prepaid or postpaid, that you make payments on time. They remind you for payments. Do you receive calls? You receive calls, you receive SMSs, you receive mails. All that is done by BPOs, which is the payment management part of it. Then you have a problem, they address your issues. All right, they are the interface between you and the telco. You may, thanks to the MNP, which is the mobile number portability. Are all of you aware of the mobile number portability?
Yeah.
So thanks to mobile number portability, now the customers find it easier to switch. If they are not happy with a service provider, they decide to dump a provider and go to another. It is the BPO at the back end which is facilitating this journey from operator A to operator B. So for operator A, they have lost you as a customer, which means this is the grave. So the journey has ended of you as a customer on the telecom service network. But the BPOs don't stop there. Even after you are dead as a customer, they will once again call you because they have your number now. Your number has not changed. And even it did, before the MNP, when your number would change, they still had your alternate numbers, they had your address, they had your email ID and so on and so forth. After 2 or 3 months, they will call you again. Sir, I'm calling from so-and-so service provider, sir. You were our valued customer till October 2011. And so that is when you decided to switch to XYZ. Just called up to check with you, sir. How are you finding the service? And the chances are that the customer is as happy or unhappy with the new operator as he was here. Because there are no magic solutions that any operators are providing now. Technology is almost the same across all operators. Tariff plans are almost the same across all operators. What really differentiates is basically the service part, the experience part. Otherwise, the blood and flesh of using a service is almost the same across all operators. So the chances are that the customer is still as unhappy or happy, and he may say that ठीक ही है, इनकी भी service कोई बहुत अच्छी नहीं है. Sir, why don't you come back on our network? Sir, we will put you in a privileged plan. We will offer you XYZ services. Sir, would you like to come back? No, it is too early now. अभी तो केवल 2 ही महीना हुआ है and all that. Sir, can I call you back after 2 months? And the BPO guy will again call him back after 2 months. Because mind you, in MNP regime, a customer can change his operators every 3 months. After every 3 months. So the BPOs do this for telecom. Of course, if they're asked to. Which is called winning back a customer. Win back. So winning back a dead customer. That is why I say that in outbound voice, what BPOs do for telcos is before the cradle and after the grave. That's what outbound voice does for a telco. Then there is a huge BPO space which is called non-voice. Voice is something which is on the spur of the moment, on the spot. You are online with the customer and you are speaking to him. Depending upon what the customer is asking you or telling you, you are reacting on the spot. Non-voice is what is more intelligent. It's more analytical. It is something for which the BPO and the telco has time to think and then respond to the customer. So this is where all back office operations happen, the non-voice. So whether you have a problem with regard to billing, you have a problem with regard to network, you have a problem with regard to a product, whatever. Your complaint resolution is happening at the back end, and there is a back office in the BPO which is actually resolving those complaints. Okay. In addition to that, they respond to all your mails, and it's a huge operation. A telco of an average size would easily be answering not less than maybe about 3,000 to 4,000 mails a day, and that's a lot because each mail has a legal value. A spoken word at times may not have legal value, all right. But a legal mail, because it is a printed word of the organization, one has to be very careful as to what we are writing, because every word is liable to legal scrutiny. So there are large teams which are actually responding to customers' queries and complaints, etc., resolving the complaint and also writing to him, which is done by the mailing units. Then they do DMs, which is direct mailers. Are you familiar with the direct mailer concepts? Yeah? Somebody said yes? Who said? Yeah, tell me. Why don't you Why don't you share with everybody?
When I was recharged through their own site, they will ask my mail ID.
Mm-hmm.
And then they send mails to, frequently about new offers. And my recharge is successful. They will send like this.
Yeah, I mean that's a routine mail that you're talking about, but direct mailers are about promotion mails, which are not only to existing customers but also to people who are not your customers today. Okay, so sending out mailers to customers that this is the new service that Vodafone has launched or Airtel has launched, and these are the benefits, and why don't you come on board, and we'll welcome you with open arms and so on and so forth. That's called direct mailing exercise. These mailers are sent in lakhs, millions. All right, so they do that. Regulatory. Are you all aware of the regulatory framework or the regulatory environment in which the telecom industry operates today? Which is the regulator for telecoms? Okay, yeah, you are right. And as you know, TRAI and the DOT are very tough customers. Okay, they come up with various regulations every now and then. Some of them are very difficult. And the telcos are required to comply with all the regulations. And for every instance of non-compliance, there are huge penalties. Okay, there are huge penalties. So, for example, when somebody is making an outbound call to a customer, if that customer is registered in the Do Not Call registry or Do Not Disturb (D&D), then there is a huge penalty for the telco on whose behalf he is making the call. The penalty is huge. First instance 500, second instance 2000, so on and so forth, and thereafter on every such call the penalty runs into thousands of rupees. It is the BPOs which are actually updating the D&D, and it is the BPOs who make sure that no call is made to a customer who is registered with D&D. Okay, that's called the regulatory compliance. This is only one example. There are several other regulatory compliances with regard to billings, networks, the quality of service, and so on and so forth. It is typically the BPOs who ensure that the regulatory compliance is done for the telco that they serve. Knowledge management. A telco, like most other companies, but especially telco because it's a live service. You know, the difference between a telco and, let's say, a manufacturing plant is that in a manufacturing plant, once you install the plant and machinery, you run out the processes, then you just start producing. There is nothing new which is happening every day. But in telecom environment, there are things which are happening new, which are not only every day, but at times every hour. So there is a huge amount of knowledge base which is available today and which is constantly being updated, which is managed by the BPOs. All right, and this knowledge management, one is the creation of it, second is maintenance of it on an ongoing basis, and then the dissemination of it. So a telco like Airtel or Voda or Reliance typically would be answering not less than 1 million customer queries a day. Not less than 1 million, perhaps more, every day. And the queries of the customers are being answered on a call center number, as also in all their shops and showrooms across the country. So when you walk into any showroom of Vodafone or Airtel or Arcom or Idea, most of the time you get exactly the same replies. How do they do this? They do this because of an extremely robustly managed knowledge management portal. And there is a team of people who is constantly updating it 24/7, so that same information is available to be given to customers across the country 24/7. This is done by BPOs. All right. And then your analytics. You guys are familiar with the concept of analytics? No? Okay. Analytics is the science of reading a database, slicing and dicing the data, analyzing it for logically taking business decisions and making customer offerings. Now, if there is a telco which has got 100 million customers, all those 100 million customers are not the same. They don't fit into the same description. They have different age profiles, they have different income profiles, they have different education profiles, they have different family profiles, they have different location profiles, they have different preference profiles. Come to think of it, every human being is different. So there are 100 million customers, chances are that all 100 million are different from one another. When a telco has to manage this large base and ensure that a large proportion of them are happy, they can't do this blindly. They have to have an extremely intelligent softwares and a team which works on the softwares, which keeps throwing data to the management, so that the management keeps taking decisions with regard to what to offer to which segment of the customer. So for example, when the MNP was announced 2 years ago, all telcos in India would have spent millions, and probably all of them put together easily a couple of $1 billion in deploying analytics tools which told them which are my most important customers, which are my second most important customers, which customer will be attracted by what if I were to offer him, so that he will not leave me. So if I were to offer you a jacket, that too of black or dark gray or whatever you are wearing, you may not be attracted because you already have one. Okay, you may like to have something else. And what analytics helps, and this is just one piece that I'm telling you a very small proportion of what the analytics as a whole does. It may offer you, the analytics tool will tell a telco what to offer you by which you may give up the idea of leaving me. This is one part of analytics which is done. So when MNP was announced a couple of years ago, telco spent a large amount of money on R&D, and they came up with solutions whereby both on an outbound call, on an inbound call. So if you called the call center of your telco for any reason, let's say for customer query or query, the moment your screen pops up, the agent who is taking your call knows I have to offer so and so service or product to this customer at the end of the call. If she calls, that product may be different from what was offered to you. This is the science of analytics. All right? Not only that, analytics also help telcos to do what is known as predictive churn modeling. Are you aware of this concept called predictive churn? Yeah, somebody is nodding the head there. Yeah, why don't you tell us?
Predictive churn means by their analysis they identify what customers can move from their services, okay, and they list down their names and numbers and all these things in their churn list, predictive churn list, and they outcall them to retain them before they move. Before they decide to move, they retain them. They provide them offer like since you are a premium customer and privileged customer, so we will give you this offer. So they don't even make them think to get churned.
Brilliant. That's what it is. Predictive churn is basis the past behavior of the customer. And in telecom parlance, behavior means how many months or years has this customer been with me? What has been his billing value pattern? Whether the billing amount is increasing, whether it is decreasing, whether it is fluctuating. Okay? What is his payment behavior? Okay? Does he pay 8 days before the due date? Does he pay 2 days before the due date? Does he pay 2 days after the due date? What is his payment behavior? What are the other services that he has used? Has he upgraded his service from voice to data, from 2G to 3G? Okay? Does he go international roaming? Does he go national roaming? Does he make ISD calls? All these data points are put into a tool. And that tool then helps the telco to predict that out of my 100 million customers, these 20,000 customers are likely to churn in the next 3 months. Okay? This tool also analyzes, have you had any complaint with your service in the last 6 months? Have you had complaint with regard to network? Is it related to voice quality? Is it related to billing? It's related to handset? What? Analytics therefore helps you to predict what is the happiness quotient of a customer. And basis that, the telcos then, as he said, the telcos then call up the customer proactively, or when the customer is calling in, and try to solve his problem, to make an offering to him so that he doesn't leave. That's what analytics is all about. Interesting?
Yes.
And this entire thing for customer touch points, because ultimately the customer is live. He's a live being. Okay? I have parked my car in the parking lot, and for me, the car is now dead till the time I go and again ignition started. But the telecom service is always on. My mobile is on. It's receiving SMSs, it's receiving mails, it may be even receiving calls right now, but I have put it on silent. This live connect with the customers is maintained by BPOs for telcos.
Sir, can you please tell some of the telecom analytics tools? Can you please list it?
See, there are no standard tools. The tools are designed for telco by various software companies basis what the companies want. So it's not off the shelf. Because these tools typically off the shelf, some companies even tried, but it didn't work. Because what a telco wants to derive out of the tool changes from customer to customer. So these are custom-made tools. But there are companies in India which offer these analytics tools, and there are several of them.
I mean, depending upon for each and every customer, tools are different?
No.
I mean,
No, it's a software. When I say analytics, it's a software which can be designed depending upon the mandate given by the telco as to what is it that they want this software to do. So it is developed.
this is not, I mean, this software is differ from company to company?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, of course. Okay. Essentially, it's a software solution. But what it typically does is not writing a window or an applications software. This basically software helps you analyze your customer data and predict their behavior. That's what it does.
Okay.
Basis that, then the telco takes a decision as to what offering it will make to which customer. All right. Can we move to the next slide? Yeah. Click. Okay. So when a BPO is dealing with when a telco is dealing with a BPO, what are the kind of, so let's say if I am a BPO and you are a telco, all right, what is it that you would tell me in terms of what you expect out of me? How are you going to measure my performance? What are my deliverables?
Customer feedback.
Pardon?
Customer feedback call handling.
Customer feedback, call handling. Okay, so can I list it? One second. Okay, you said customer feedback. Okay, call handling. Quality. Quality assurance. Okay, turnaround time. What else?
Number of successful events.
Okay. Success ratio. What else?
Number of calls made by a single customer for a same issue.
Success ratio. Pardon? SLAs. TAT? Okay, what else? You are signing up an agreement with me. I am your BPO. I have decided I am your BPO. You have no choice. Now you tell me, how would you pay me? At the end of the day, the agreement is a commercial agreement and would dictate how much money I make out of you. And for you it means how much money will you pay me. And for that, you want to write in the agreement, ये मैं measure करूँगा. So far you have told me these 4 things. Anything else that comes to your mind? Yes?
Reduction of calls.
Volume of work.
Volume of work.
Yeah.
Okay.
You will ask us that what volume you are going to give me.
Yes.
You can decide your manpower and all these things.
Correct.
Your contract will not get